creative friends, this is Joy. So with this video I just wanted to show you where I turned a little golden book from with Frida Kahlo into a journal. So here I've already kind of taken apart the cover. The little gold strip was really loose on the book, and so that came off pretty easily, and then I just pulled out the staples. That's all I've done so far. And this here, some of the things I'm going to use in creating this journal is a kit that I got that had some washi tape, some ephemera, some paper, and some stamps. And so I'm going to use this little kit in creating this journal. And then I've got some other things like magazine images and some free printables, some other papers that I found in my stash. Here's some other free printables. Some other things that I may use in the journal. I'm not sure what all I'm going to be using in the journal, but I just got a whole bunch of stuff here that I've, collected and thought I might want to use in the journal. And here's just some papers from my stash I'm showing you, and then of course some scrapbook paper that I thought would be really pretty to use in this journal. So that's what I'm showing you here, just some of the scrapbook paper. So first thing I do is I decide to glue the little strip. I cut it down the center, and then I glue it back on the front and the back of the cover because I kind of wanted, that to be on there and to be able to show that. So that's what I did there. And then I brought out some gold paint. It's just gold acrylic paint, and I used my finger to go around the edges to cover up the edges around both the front and the back of the journal with some gold paint. I was a little careful. I didn't care if it went over the cover just a little bit, but I didn't want it to, go over the cover a lot. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just dipping my finger into the gold paint and then going around the cover and thinking about how I'm going to make this book, how I'm going to do the binding on this book and put it together. I kind of want to do it to where you can see the complete, front cover and back cover. I had thought about taking a box, which I did find a box that I could use to actually make the cover out of the box and then glue the front and the back cover on the top of the front of the box and the back of the box. And I actually even took the box, cut it down to size, painted it blue, a dark blue, and then added the gold around the edges and tested that out, that idea, but I really didn't care for that idea because then you wouldn't be able to see the inside of the back and the front cover. Plus I didn't particularly care for the back of the back cover. And I thought, well, I could just flip it over and show the inside of the back cover, but that didn't make any sense either. And then I thought about, well, not even putting the back cover on there, just somehow binding it within the journal, but I'm just didn't particularly care for that idea either. And so in any case, what I did end up doing is deciding to figure out a way to do a spine, to use a front and the back cover as a front and back cover, and to use a spine in order to glue that onto the front and back cover so that I can use that as is without covering up the front and back cover, if that makes any sense. And you'll see what I'm talking about here shortly. So I'm just going to continue to go around both of these covers and just adding that gold paint around the edges of both of these covers. So then the next step that I decided to do is figure out how big of a spine I needed, and this ended up being a video, um, multiple videos in creating this journal. So you'll see in the next journal how I put the pages together. And at this point I have the pages, and so I kind of put them in between the front and back cover and loosely hold them to kind of see how wide to make the spine. And I made the spine 2¼ inches wide. So I'm got some just chipboard here that I had in my stash, and I'm cutting that piece down to 2¼ inches. And so I'm having to cut one side, turn it over, cut the other side to cut through this cardboard completely, or chipboard. So that's what I did. And then I found some fabric in my stash that I thought would go with the cover itself. And so I like this floral pattern, and I had different ideas. I was going to just wrap this whole spine in the fabric, but then I'm like, I need to glue this down and then wrap it around the edges, and then I'm like, oh shoot, wait a minute. If I do that, then how am I going to glue it to the book, if I just wrap the whole thing in the fabric? So that's why I cut it in half, and I'm like, because somehow I want the edges of the spine, of course, to be covered. So I'm trying to figure out different ways I could do this, and not sure which way would be the best way, I guess you could say. So I decided to go ahead and just wrap a piece of this around the spine. So I used the Fabri-Tac glue, and I cover the chipboard with glue. And this here is a bottle that's just about out of glue. So I'm trying to wait for the glue to come out so that I can cover this with some glue. And so I just go around the edges, because I'm going to, want to completely cover this thing, but then I also go around the whole inside of it. So I grabbed an awl, because I thought, well, maybe if I poke a hole in the bottom of it, maybe it'll come out faster, which that didn't help. So then I just kind of opened it up. I'm like, okay, I'll just open it and try to get out as much as I can. So I did that, and then I, excuse me, squished it around with my finger. So I wanted to I didn't want it to be on here so thick that it soaked through the fabric, because this fabric's actually quite thin. So yeah, I wanted to, spread it around with my finger so that it's not so thick that it soaks through. And then I'm gluing that down, and then I go around the edges so that I can fold the fabric over and cover the edges. So again, I do have other bottles of this Fabri-Tac, so I don't know why I just didn't pull out another bottle, but I think eventually I do, because I got tired of messing with this and what little bit was in it. So here I'm just spreading it around and smushing it around as best I can, and so it's not so thick in any one place. And actually, as I'm going through trying to think about how I'm going to do the spine, there's a couple of different ways I could have done it. And here I'm like, okay, I'll lay it down the other side, and then I will sandwich the front and the back between two pieces of fabric. But I'm like, shoot, that's not going to work, because I don't want to cover up the front and the back, and that'll cover it up too much. So then I'm like, well, I'll just wrap the spine and then lay the other piece on top, and I cut the corners so there's not so much bulk on the corners there. So that's what I did there. And I'm adding a little bit of glue on top of the fabric so that when I fold over the sides, then it'll cover the corners nicely. And so then I do that, and then I add more glue on top of the fabric, so that I can add the other piece of fabric on top and then use that to glue that to the inside of the book. But then I was like thinking, how is that going to hold? Is that going to hold very well just being glued to the inside? I don't know. I wasn't sure how strong that was going to be. So anyway, I do that, and then after I thought about it for a minute, I'm like, I don't think that's going to work either. So I do end up pulling it off because this fabric is so thin. I'm really concerned about how well it's going to hold once I glue it to the inside of both covers. And so you'll see here that I end up pulling this back off, and I looked in my stash for something else that I could glue on here and make this a little bit stronger so that it will, this thin piece of fabric isn't the only thing that's holding the spine and all those pages onto it. So luckily I didn't wait too long before I pulled that back off. And again, it's, just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this spine, because I really don't want to cover up the front and the back cover. So then I found in my stash a piece of muslin. So I took this muslin and I cut it down to about the size of the fabric that I'm using for the spine. And then I decided that I'm going to glue this down to the spine. And so that's what I do. I add more glue. There's a lot of Fabri-Tac glue on this spine, so it should hold pretty good. And the reason why I decided to use glue, I have used in the past double-sided tape and stuff, but it really mucks up your needle when you go to sew on, and I plan on sewing the signatures on, and I didn't want that to happen. So here I'm gluing down the muslin first, and this won't show in the end, and then I add more Fabri-Tac on top of the muslin and squish that around with my fingers. And so I'm, getting a good layer of that on top of this spine piece, and then I lay my fabric on top of that. So that's what I ended up doing, because I felt like that adding this piece of muslin would help in strengthening the spine and holding it on there better than just that thin piece of fabric. So I felt better about it after I added that on there. And I, didn't call this a junk journal because I did not use junk to create it, but I guess it could be used as a junk journal. And as you see here, I went around the edges with pinking shears, and then here I'm just testing out how I'm going to glue that to the covers, and just, seeing how that's going to work. So I think it's going to work pretty good, in which, it did, and I'm really surprised. And like I said, this is going to be multiple videos, and I'm actually still not done with it. I'm still working on it. I was testing, like, putting it in between, and I'm like, no, I don't like that, because you can't, it covers up too much of the front and back cover. But yeah, I'm still working on the journal, but I wanted to start at least editing the videos and getting them posted out, so that, people can start seeing the process that I go through in creating this little golden book. And so I've been really having a lot of fun working on it. I've been working on it the last 2 weeks, and I'll continue, working on it for at least another week, or if not two, going through showing the whole process of creating it. So once I've, decided, okay, this is going to, how I'm going to do it, then I add my Fabri-Tac glue to that muslin, and I got out a fresh bottle. I guess I got tired of messing with the other one. Spread it out with my finger, and then glued the front cover on, and then did the same for the back cover. And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to, see how I go through the process of creating this journal, then please subscribe to and hit that notification bell to see the upcoming videos. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. I'm recently retired because I got laid off in March 2023. Been looking for a job for, almost 2 years now, a year and a half, and decided, what, I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm just going to just go ahead and retire, and, that way I can focus more on, my art, my YouTube channel, and, creating these videos for everyone. So I appreciate you stopping by and watching, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.